Good afternoon, friends. In the ongoing series of leadership and team development, today we will be talking on ethical leadership. Being a great leader generally doesn't happen overnight. It is an art developed over time through conscious leadership. What does make a great leader? What is the magic recipe? If you think about all the great leaders in the world history like Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi, there was a common thread throughout, and that is ethical leadership. So it is very interesting and pertinent to understand what ethical leadership is all about and what are the basic characteristics of an ethical leader. Now, ethical leader can be both visible and invisible. The visible component is how you interact with your employees every day, how you behave publicly, and how you leave the statements to the other team members. However, leadership that is invisible is how a leader makes their decisions, his or her mindset, principles and the values he has, and it is how the leader responds to the difficult situations and decisions. Integrity is paramount. Being ethical all the time, and it is not just when someone is checking or looking at them. Every day, working hard to prove the principles and the values, something that needs to be shown through the actions, not just through the language. So there are two aspects of an ethical leadership, visible as well as invisible. Now here are some of the ways ethical leadership can influence your workplace culture. Ethical leadership sets an ideal example to their team. As a leader, your team members look upon to you, and if you want your team to practice ethics, then you must act as a role model to them, and they should look upon that yes, he is an ethical leader. He has certain good values and virtues which he practices in the decision making and the actual practice of the corporate culture. His ethical aspects, as far as the practicing of the ethics is concerned, is embedded in his daily routine activities. Now, ethical leadership increases and builds the trust. Your team members will trust you even more because they know that you would do the right things because they have seen you do it before. So ethical leadership spreads the all-around trust amongst each and every member of the organization, especially the team members. They will feel at a very good and a comfort level that yes, he is our leader and he is going to take care of every adversity which can come in the organization, and that too, the decision making will all be ethical in every respect. Ethical leadership makes you more credible and you earn more respect from your team. If you have been practicing the ethical leadership, then your team will see the integrity you have as a leader and as a part of the organization. So it not only brings the environment of trust, it also, the ethical leadership makes you more credible, and because of this, the respect which you will gain and earn will be at the top. The ethical leadership leads to a collaboration of not just your team, but the whole organization. More teams will want to collaborate with yours since they know how just and ethical you deal with situations as well as decisions. The ethical leadership promotes a healthy workplace for your team. And if your team members know that they have an ethical leader who does not abuse the power he has, then your team members will work harmoniously and dedicated to each task or the project you give them. The ethical leadership knows that it will always be right path to take. And as an ethical leader, you know that doing the ethical thing is never wrong, and it is a path you must always take to keep your team members' trust. Ethical leadership gives you a good night's sleep. At the end of the day, when you pause and rest to think about the decisions which you took, the actions which you took and you have made today, you know that you have done your job very well. The ethical leaders do not stop reviewing their ethical principles and the values because they know what an ethical leader truly means. Every day they work hard in developing themselves. Now let us talk about what ethics is all about. It is a derivative of the Greek word ethos, meaning the customs, conduct or the character. It is concerned with the kind of values and the morals an individual or society ascribes as desirable or appropriate. Focuses on the virtuousness of the individuals and their motives. It provides a system or rules or the principles as a guide in making decisions. There are numerous situations, there are numerous cases in which the problem solving is there. You have to take a good decision, and while taking a decision, if the leader keeps the ethical perspective in the center, then of course everything will be on the right track. People will trust you, respect you, and the organization will always meet the path of success with an environment which is full of trust and confidence for the leader. Now, let us discuss what the definition and the theory of ethics is all about. Ethics is all about what is right and what is wrong, what is bad and what is good in a specific situation. It provides a basis for the understanding what it means to be morally decent human being. Development of the ethical theory goes back to Plato and Aristotle. Now let us first discuss the conceptual aspects of ethics. Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have to right to do and what is right to do. Ethics or simple honesty is building blocks upon which our whole society is based, and the business is a part of our society, and it's integral to the practice of being able to conduct the business that you have a set of honest standards. Now we'll be discussing the different perspectives of ethics. So the first and the foremost part is Yama, that is the precepts, dicta, teachings of the social discipline. First is ahimsa, that is non-violence, not harming others or others' sentiments, beings, not harming one's own self, not harming the environment, tolerance even for which we dislike, not speaking that which even though truthful would injure others. The second is your satya, that is truthfulness. There is no God higher than the truth, according to Mahatma Gandhi. Note that sometimes we may know our words are literally true, but do not convey what we know to be truthful. This is the child's game. Satya means not intended to deceive others in our thoughts as well as our words and action. The next is your asteya, that is not stealing. Asteya means what? The third of Yama is asteya or non-stealing, not taking what does not belong to you, not taking which is not yours. Next is your brahmacharya, that is sexual responsibility, regarding others as human beings rather than as male and female bodies. The spirit of this precept is conservation and conservation of energy for the purpose of spiritual practice. Now, ethics in the Indian culture. This includes not only the sexual restraint but protecting our energy, for instance, by avoiding endless chattering with no clear purpose. Next is your aparigraha, that is absenteeism from greed, not coveting that which is not ours, avoidance of unnecessary acquisition of the objects not essential to maintaining life or the spiritual study. The second is your niyama, that is the precepts, dicta, teaching of individual discipline. That is soka, cleanliness, not only the external cleanliness of the body, but attending to internal cleanliness, such as avoiding the impurities of the anger, egoism, and moderation in diet. Next is your santosha, which means contentment, not spiritual complacency but acceptance of the external situation we are allotted in this life. The next is your tapas, that is austerity or seriousness, deep commitment to our yoga practice and quote blazing practice with the religious fervor. Next is your swadhyaya, which means self-study, spiritual self-education, contemplation and application of the scriptures or the sacred text of our chosen path. The next is your Iswarya Panidhana, that is surrender of self to God, acknowledgement that there is a higher principle in the universe, that one's own small self, modesty, that is humility. Now let us now talk about leadership. Leadership is defined as about raising the aspirations of the followers and enthusiasming people with the desire to reach for the stars. For instance, Mahatma Gandhi created a vision for independence in India and raised the aspirations of our people. Leadership is about making people say, I will walk on the water for you. It is about creating a worthy dream and helping people to achieve it. According to Robert Kennedy, summed up the leadership best when he said, others see things as they are and wonder why. I see them as they are not and say, why not? So, there are various leadership styles and types. The dictator leaders, the autocratic leaders or authoritarian leaders, participative or democratic leaders, laissez-faire or free-rein leaders. What is an ethical leadership? Leaders answering the ethical questions should be guided by the goal of creating the most value for the society. Moving beyond a set of simple ethical rules, don't lie, don't cheat. This perspective, rooted in the work of the philosophers Jeremy Bentham, John Stuart Mill and Peter Singer, provides the clarity needed to make a wide variety of important managerial decisions. Without denying the importance of a good character and the right values, the reality of ethical leadership is far more complex. Ethical leaders see their constituents as their just followers, but rather as stakeholders striving to achieve that same common purpose. It is important for the leaders to tell us a compelling and morally rich story, but the ethical leaders must also embody and live the story. Organizational leadership is an important first step towards identifying and enacting purpose and ethical values that are central to the internal alignment, external market effectiveness, and responsibility towards the stakeholders. Now, the scholar Chester Barnard defined the value-based leadership approach way back in the year 1939 as one that inspires cooperative personal decisions by creating faith in the common understanding, faith in the probability of the success, faith in the ultimate satisfaction of the personal motives, and faith in the integrity of the common purpose. Organizational leaders are responsible to a wide range of stakeholders, and the stakeholders as well as employees towards meeting the goals of the organization. How responsibly and ethically they choose to do so depends on a number of factors. From an ethical and related effectiveness perspective, the leader's values the counts, since these generally become the value of an organization. A leader's influence is referred to as the tone at the top, while the leader's value should align to those of the organization, its vision and mission. That is not always the case, as we know from the crisis discussed earlier when referring to the classical failures at Enron, Tyco, WorldCom, Wells Fargo, and other notable companies. Now, for the ethical leaders, authenticity and integrity, in addition to their values, are also important component of the character and behavior that must also be translated into the attitude and the action towards the followers, external stakeholders, and broader communities. The leaders have a responsibility to show respect towards the others, treat all stakeholders fairly, work towards a common good, build the community, and be honest. These virtue-related values, also referred to as the character-related, as discussed previously, they also help create an ethical corporation as well as the environment. There are certain ethical challenges or the dilemmas and are inherent in the leadership role. If you choose to become a leader, recognize that you accept the ethical burdens along with the new task of the expectations as well as rewards. And it is definitely, there's a strong relationship of ethical leadership and reward. Let us discuss that. It is perfectly all right to ask if there is a reward for being good, but this has nothing to do with whether one should be good. It makes no sense to try and convince people that they should be good by pointing to the rewards that may follow. One should be good because good is by definition that which one should be. The ethical leadership and the risk. As for the motivation, good behavior often brings a reward, but not every time. Think about it. If it weren't always in one's interest to be good, there would be no need for ethics. We could simply act selfishly and forget about the obligation. People invented ethics precisely because it does not always coincide with the self-interest. A man does what he must, and in spite of personal consequences, and in spite of the obstacles and the dangers and the pressures, and that is the basis of all humans' morality. People are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. love and trust them anyways. So now I will be discussing the 10 commandments of ethical leadership. Yes, people are illogical, and in many of the circumstances they are unreasonable also. And for sure they are self-centered, and you know it, but still love and trust them anyways. Second, if you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyways. Now these commandments which we are discussing and are prerequisites for you to become an ethical leader, you have to practice them. You know that people in the organization are unreasonable, illogical, self-centered. They will always talk about their own benefit. They will always accuse you for something or the other. Even if you are doing a good job, you are putting your heart and soul into your corporate working, your core business practices, your routine work also, still people will not leave you. But yes, you should not be carried away by what people say. You have to love such people, you need to trust them, you need to do good anyways. Now moving forward with the further commandments which are essential for you to become an ethical leader. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and true enemies. Do good anyways. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyways. Now these 2 points which we are discussing now needs further elaboration. When you are rising in the organization, when you are doing a good job in the organization, your efforts are being recognized. It is very important to understand that in the process of gaining the success and reaching at the pinnacle of your career, there will be a lot of people who will start disliking you, and you will actually earn false friends and true enemies. So don't be afraid for that. Do good, carry on with your work as you are doing it anyways. And of course, there's a recency effect that even if the good you do today, it will be forgotten tomorrow, and by any chance if you do a small mistake, your mistakes will be remembered forever, but your good job will be forgotten immediately. But do good always. Now coming on to the 5th important commandments of ethical leadership, that is honesty and frankness. Honesty and frankness will make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyways. The biggest people with the biggest idea can be shot down by the smallest people with the smallest ideas. Anyways, think big anyways. People favor the underdogs but follow the top dogs. Fight for the underdog anyways. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight. Still, do not stop building. Build anyways. People really need help, but may attack you if you do help. Help people anyways. Give the world the best you got, and you may get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have earned anyways. These were the important 10 points and the 10 commandments which will make you an excellent ethical leader. Let us have a small recap on the 10 commandments of ethical leadership. You have to love and trust the people even if they do not trust you. You have to always do the good to the people. You have to be, even if you are successful, you are gaining your enemies and the true friends, still you cannot stop being good to everyone. Do your best things even if it is forgotten tomorrow. Honesty and the frankness should be at the center. The biggest people with the biggest ideas think big anyways, and always help the under people who are deprived of help. Always help the people. What you spend years building, please continue and have a perseverance in building your work as well as the career. People who are in need of a help, please help them and give the world the best of your experience, your journey. So definitely all these aspects is going to make you the top ethical leader.